But here's the thing, I don't mind there being a handful of short episodes. And also, like, we go off on tangents often enough that they're not even that short.
Yeah. Do you know what?
Like,
The amount of times that I've like been sat here doing the editing and I've been like, how did we talk about Warthol for 45 minutes?
to be fair, Wars Total had that whole like potential other evolution that was really interesting.
Eh,
But speaking of short episodes, shall we start talking about Kakuna?
let's do it. Right.
Let's do it.
Right. Kakuna. And that was Kakuna. Right. Back to the notes.
Like, right. I think Kakuna's design is cool. I like its little arms.
Yeah.
I think that differentiates it from Metapod in a way that's cute,
Mm,
but not uh cliche.
yeah.
Um, I think the arms hint at what's to come with Beedrill because it stays pointy.
Yeah.
Um, that's it. I'm done.
Yeah. Well, I've got a
It's
few
cute little
points on
arms. It looks
Metapod.
like it's wearing a tie.
Yeah. Well, that's the main thing. As we both know, we both were like, yeah, it looks like it's wearing a little shirt and tie. But
He's a little smart boy.
of course, well, I mean, it's bringing in the big poker
Bringing
dollars.
in the
When I was coming up with that office, I was originally it was going to be like a little bit more complex than it was, but I decided against it. Um, I was intending on putting stuff in like uh, you don't have to be hurt yourself in your confusion to work here, but it helps.
eh,
And like
eh,
and like a little picture of a Beedrill and a Weedle and a couple of like Kakunas, as if like that was its family that it looked at
eh.
every day they went to work. Um,
So when I was drawing mine, I drew his little tie, and I was thinking of the office, and I was picturing like a Colin Robinson type vibe.
mhm.
Like, have you seen What We Do in the Shadows with Colin Robinson, the energy vampire?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was picturing his type of office, and then as I was thinking about it, and I was like, well, it makes sense because like, does Kakuna evolve into like a worker bee? And then I was like, and the Colin Robinson like maybe it's a drone.
Mhm.
Bees are drones, and
Yeah.
Colin Robinson drones on and boards you. That's his bit that he does, and I feel like there's potential for a crossover with Pokemon and What We Do. I reckon Kakuna is Colin Robinson's favorite Pokemon. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's my spicy take about Kakuna. Is Colin Robinson's favorite Pokemon?
Yeah. I could see that. It makes me go. I wonder what other Pokemon they'd have. Presumably they'd have Snorlax.
Yeah,
You know, because
Snorlax,
they're like fallen asleep.
and one of the smelly ones.
One of the
One of
smell.
the
Well,
smelly
then
ones. I
just
was
fucking Caterpie
It
then.
could just be Caterpie, but I was gonna say like oh Trubbish or Garbodor,
Mm?
or like yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
And it'd have I reckon so right, okay, actually now we're on What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah.
Or in Pokemon Violet, I did a brief go at What We Do in the Shadows team.
Yeah.
So I had a Grimmsnarl as my Nandor.
Oh, very good.
I had Annihilate as my Laszlo.
Yeah.
I had Gothitelle as my Nadja.
Yeah, that's
And
good.
then I had, because I was watching season 4 of Colin Robinson, I had a Tinkertuff, which is the one with the hammer as baby Colin Robinson.
Oh.
Because he's got the hammer that he
Yeah.
likes hitting the wall with. I was really pleased with that little team. I was telling Nathan Thomas, who does like Red Shirts podcast, who's another Blizzard comedian. I was telling him, and he was like, funnily enough, that's actually like that would be a legitimately good competitive team, and I'm tempted to like bring it out and see if anyone notices what the theme is.
Mm.
Um, and then maybe I'd have like because that's only four, obviously. Maybe I'd have like a a Noivern or something just to bring in the bat theme
Yeah.
together.
And then you could finally have a Crobat, and then
I could have a Crobat instead of a Noivern, although I have a Crobat a lot of the time. I don't think Crobat's very like vampire. I think Noivern's a bit more vampire than a
mm.
Crobat.
Yes. Although I think the thing that goes against Noivern is I think that the ears can make it look a tiny bit less bat-like.
That is true. But its ears are a sound system, so
Mm.
but no, I think yeah, I think Tinkertuff with its hammer
Yeah,
would be baby Colin Robinson's favorite Pokemon. And
yeah.
I think Kakuna with its boring office attire would be adult Colin Robinson's favorite Pokemon.
I mean, the other one that I feel like you could stick in there is Jigglypuff.
Yes.
'Cause it, sends people to
Yes.
sleep. Um, but in terms of Kakuna, I think that Kakuna, again, like Weedle, is the slightly cooler out of Metapod and Kakuna.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think it fits with the entire line in that like the Caterpie line is a bit cuter
Mm,
and the Weedle line is a bit cooler, a bit edgier, a bit pointier, quite
yeah,
literally.
yeah. Well, the thing that I think makes it a tiny bit cooler is one. I think the black eyes that it's got, um, like it looks like it's kind of pissed off. But also there are, I want to say, gold and silver once it starts occasionally doing their, at least in Crystal, when they start doing the kind of movement based sprites. Um, uh,
Yeah.
with Kakuna, I'm pretty sure the arms move, which I think for me indicates that it's got slightly more kind of attack power or slightly more
Yeah.
competitive elements to it than your Metapod does.
Yes. And I think because Metapod is just like a hard shell full of sludge.
Mm.
And I guess we'll find out what Kakuna's like evolution, gestation process is like.
Yeah, we'll find out
Um
how the stadium professor fucking booted one
we'll
across the
find out
road.
what the stadium professor did to piss off Kakuna enough that it moved its arms and give it a jab. Um But yeah, I do think it's a bit more. I guess it's got that whole line has a bit more aggression
Mm,
because like Caterpie just has like tackle and string shot. That's very simple. But like Weedle has the poison sting, which I think is a more aggressive move.
yeah,
Um, and so while Metapod is just I'm in my little hole and I'm gestating, leave me the fuck alone. Kakuna's like I'm in my little hole and I'm gestating, and if you come near me, I'll fucking stab you with my pointy hands.
yeah,
And I think again that will transfer further on to Butterfree and Weedle and Beedrill and their relationship. And I think yeah, Beedrill is the more aggressive one out of the two.
yeah.
Um,
And I imagine that they somewhat kind of worked backwards in that they probably. I mean, we've somewhat spoke about it on this channel before, that like on this podcast before, that like um, a lot of the early Pokedex feels very kind of planned out. That they went, okay, so here's going to be the starters, followed by these Pokemon that you evolve really quickly in order to kind of in order to
yeah,
understand the mechanics
get
of it.
used to the process of the
Yeah,
game. Yeah, yeah,
and it wouldn't surprise me as well that if they're there, because you're going to come across a Pigeon, you're going to come across a Rattata earlier, that you're then going to notice that there's gaps in your Pokedex if you look through the Pokedex, and then they fill in the gaps, and then it's like, oh, so if I start looking for more Pokemon, I can fill in the gaps in the Pokedex.
yeah,
And they probably went, okay, so what we're going to have for the ones that evolve quickly, let's go for like an insect, the gestation and metastasizing that actually happens in real life. And they went, okay, well, we'll do a butterfly. And then they're like, okay, so what other insect should we do? We'll also do a bee. And then I think because they probably went, we'll do a butterfly, we'll do a bee. And then probably work backwards at that point. They were like, of course, the bee
yeah,
one's going to be more aggressive out of the two.
yeah, yeah. I think that definitely makes sense. And like, I think, I think the aggressive bee was a nice like simple starting point. But I do like how they've evolved their bee concepts moving forwards
Mm,
because they've done like Rabombi, which is a very small, non-threatening bee. And they've got Combi, which is like has the relationship between the worker and the queen bee with Combi and Vespiquen.
yeah,
And I think that those were really interesting new takes on bees as they move forward because
yeah,
I feel like the other butterfly Pokemon are just kind of just the same.
yeah,
Like they're just more like pretty spore based Pokemon with wings, with bug moves and flying moves and spores.
yeah.
Like I don't feel like Like Beautifly and Dustox, which again we'll get to in their episodes. I think Beautifly and Dustox, I like the way their designs are different,
Mm,
and I like how like one's a bit more mothy
mm,
and one's a bit more elegant. I get it,
mm.
but I don't feel like either of them are that different from Butterfree.
Yeah,
Whereas by the time you get to more bee Pokemon, Beedrill is distinctly different from them. Like they have thought about other things that bees do and other
yeah,
things that bees can be. Um, I think we've kind of skipped ahead a little bit, if I'm honest with you,
yeah. Well,
because we're still on the Kakuna episode. There's not much to say about Kakuna,
yeah,
but like, yeah, I think your original point was not wrong. Like they've definitely given that like a lot of thought and
yeah. And just before we move on from that, um, I I agree with you about how they've kind of looked at other aspects of bees. I mean, like for anyone who knows, like like so I'm pretty much from Manchester, even though I'm from the city next door. But like Manchester's thing is like it's
bees.
yeah it's it's very much attached itself to the bee. Um, so I kind of like it for that, but I have kind of recognised like historically that there are different types of bees, but I think the thing is it's like I think you would struggle to come up with, and this is probably more to do with public knowledge and public perception. I think that there is less difference across butterflies than there is across bees.
Yeah. And I think there are distinctly I think the issue is that there are very distinctly visual differences in butterflies, but I don't think people are very knowledgeable about their behaviors unless they go out of their way to look into them.
Yeah,
Whereas I guess the bee Pokemon have all had different elements of it because bees don't become a cocoon.
no,
Like
I was going to
like
say
you
that.
wouldn't get a worm become a cocoon, evolve into a bee in real life. That's a caterpillar thing. It is um a distinct like difference between the real world and the Pokemon world that a bee comes out of a cocoon at all.
Mm,
Like bees are just always bees. Which I guess because this evolutionary process with the cocoon Pokemon in the middle, I guess it's just designed to echo um but to parallel the Caterpie line,
yeah,
and to be a foil for Metapod in a way. Um, and so I understand how they ended up getting more creative with their bee-inspired Pokemon compared to their butterfly-inspired Pokemon,
yeah,
because once you've done one lot of butterflies that come out of a cocoon, they could have got creative with it and not done cocoon-based butterfly Pokemon, but I don't think they did.
no,
Like all of the ones that I can think of off the top of my head, Dustox and Beautifly from Cocoons. What's the grey one? The pretty grey one with lots of different patterns. Begins with a
Vivian.
V. Vivian. That one comes from a cocoon, like a different looking cocoon,
Yeah,
but a cocoon nonetheless.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, um,
There are some moths that don't,
yeah,
like frostlasses. I think technically not frostlass, frostmoth. Boom. Is a moth,
yeah,
but I think that just evolves straight into frostmoth.
yeah. And you got Venomoth, Venonat.
Venomoth and Venonat, which again, well, is Venonat? Well, now we're going to come to this. Venonat like a big mothball
Uh, so I so like gnats
because
are a
Venonat's not a
thing.
larva.
Well,
Yeah,
gnat. I've always read it as to be that it is again. It's very I think it's unrealistic. I don't. I'm not a
yeah,
gnat. I'm going to surprise you now. Not a gnat expert, right? But yeah, it's just like a change in state from just like one Pokemon to another, and it. Um, but yeah, I think to be fair to
I guess.
Butterfree and the other butterfly Pokemon, I think there's probably less scope beyond visual, unlike bees,
Yeah,
where I think in terms of behaviour and like, I mean that's another thing as well. I was just about to say, I mean, it's just occurred to me now. Like bees are more social animals as well,
yeah,
so there's kind of that element to it as well. That again, like as far as I'm aware, like butterflies don't like live in colonies.
yeah. I think yeah, there is there are more like distinct concepts you can draw from when it comes to a bee. Um, and I would guess the moth Pokemon that I guess is the most accurate, as opposed to Venonat and Venomoth, would be Larvesta and Volcarona, because that actually starts as a larva and then becomes a moth.
Mm,
Um, like a big fat fire moth, but a moth nonetheless.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think if anything, like Beedrill is the outlier in being the least realistic one in that it doesn't come from a cocoon. And then if anything, they've leaned more into the real world as they um went on. And I think I think I'm gonna be looking out now for where they have deviated explicitly from a recognizable realistic pattern.
Mm,
Because in what, the 30 odd years Kakuna has been a thing, I think this is the first time I've acknowledged, oh, bees don't come out of cocoons.
mm,
Even though I knew that was a fact, I just never thought to challenge it. Like bees don't come out of cocoons, but Beedrill does.
yeah. Well, let's see if the Pokemon Stadium professor's like, I cannot believe this fucking cocoon bollocks.
I feel like I feel like this is another reason that Kakuna is Colin Robinson's favorite Pokemon because he'd really enjoy telling everyone how bees don't actually come
Oh
out of
yeah,
cocoons.
yeah,
Like this would be a thing he would use to drain people.
yeah.
I mean,
And
I'm
then they're like,
finding it terribly interesting, but in this situation, I'm probably Colin Robinson, and everyone at home is going like, "How the fuck are you 30 years old and just noticed that bees don't come out of cocoons?"
ah. Well, you know what, right? People learn things at different ages, don't they?
No, it's not. I'm not learning it for the first time. I'm just now acknowledging it in the context of Kakuna.
Oh, well,
Like,
so
obviously bees don't come from cocoons. But I just never thought to challenge it. I was told Beedrill does come out of a cocoon, and I was like, okay,
and this is how this podcast broke Kirsty's mind.
it did. How am I this broken on the Kakuna episode? For fuck's sake.
Has been full of surprises. I feel like every single episode of this has had some surprise for me, and I never thought to myself, yeah, this is the one where Kirsty's brains come out of her ears. Well,
Well,
should
here
we?
we are.
Yeah.
Shall we look at some Pokedex entries and just shine some fucking light on how a bee came out of a cocoon?
Let's do it. Let me just get it up. Um, we have got the Dex entries. So, almost incapable of moving, this Pokemon can only harden its shell to protect itself from predators, which we know that they would then go on to retcon.
Yes, they would.
Yeah. Oh, I've just skipped ahead to the Stadium Professor, just because he's my favourite. He's my absolute favourite. I mean, I'll do Yellow dead quick, but I want to get to
Yellow
Stadium.
already retcons it. Yellow is already retconning it.
Yeah, it's weird that they did that. I wonder why they decided to go with that. But when endangered, it may stick out its stinger and poison its enemy, and then Stadium Professor, because it is virtually motionless, it may appear dead. That's got to be one of his darkest entries. Well, it's
I
not.
love the
It's not moving.
idea.
It's probably dead. Well, is
No,
it?
I know exactly what happened here. He saw all the Metapod being really still and he cracked it open and spilled it.
Yeah.
Then he saw all the Kakuna looking really still and he was like, probably dead. And then he went over and Kakuna stung him and he was like, you little fucking cunt. And then he was like, gotta tell everyone else that they're not dead. They just look it
Yeah.
and then just put like frequently looks dead and then stopped engaging with the Kakuna that actually was not dead but was busy hibernating.
So I'm imagining the Stadium Professor like digging a grave and being like, get that Kakuna in there and see if it moves. Because if it don't move, I'm just going to shovel dirt on it and it's gone.
Yeah?
Yeah, I wouldn't put that past Stadium Professor. I wish Stadium Professor had a name. I wish Because, you know,
Yeah.
like, we know that red and blue is oak. We know that gold and silver is elm. But Stadium Professor, who's Stadium Professor? Because I think they probably got sacked for like, some HR complaint.
Being a fucking renegade.
Yeah, uh, just there in the HR meeting, just going. So hi, yeah, we've had a couple of we've been hearing that you've been cracking open metapods. You've been accusing Pokemon of being dead. Do you have anything? Do you have anything to say? And they'd have been there with their union rep, just going, "Are we going to get out of this?" And the union rep going, "You're fucking done, mate. You are done." Well, moving ahead to Generation Two. Again, they carry on with this the retcon. Although it is a cocoon, it can move a little and it can extend its poison barb if it is attacked.
I think Stadium Professor just wasn't paying enough attention. Like, like he thought it was dead, but it was actually moving, and so he just doubled down. It definitely wasn't moving. It looked dead,
What I,
and it's not dead.
what I think happened with Stadium Professor is, so this is the 13th Pokemon, isn't it, in the Pokedex, right? So
Yes.
so they've gone, look, you've done some really fucking fucked up stuff for the last 12. Like, you can't do anything with this Pokemon because we don't trust you not to crack it open. And he was like, well, all right then, I won't do anything. And then it didn't move, and he was like, well, it's clearly dead. Um,
uh,
uh,
Silver's a bit different. From this form, it will grow into an adult. As its body becomes softer, the external shell hardens, which I guess is very similar to Metapod.
yeah, but it's not mentioned the
Um,
word innards.
Good. I don't want to hear about any more innards.
Uh, I like the phrasing it's used for crystal. Nearly incapable of movement, it leans itself against stout trees. Like, that's,
Hmm.
you don't often hear the word stout or in relation to a
Yeah.
tree.
Mm.
Like, oh, we got some Kakuna. You better not get digging those stout trees.
Yep.
Winds me up. And then we've got Stadium 2. He's obviously saved his job. Although it is a cocoon, it can move a little. It can extend its poison barb if attacked, which to me says that he fucking attacked it and got stabbed.
So I like he did get stabbed. I think my fan theory was correct.
Yeah,
I like Ruby and Sapphire. It offers like a bit more detail and gives me something about Kakuna that I wouldn't have necessarily known. And same for Emerald, which is near enough word for word the same. Kakuna remains virtually immobile as it clings to a tree. However, on the inside, it is extremely busy as it prepares for its coming evolution. This is evident from how hot the shell becomes to the touch. And I think what would be cool
mm,
is if there was like a secret thing where Kakuna like a really secret like hidden ability where like Kakuna had flame body
mm.
rather than like whatever normal shit it has,
Oh yeah,
and
that'd be
that
good.
way like because it's hot to the touch, like just one in a million Kakunas have a random flame body, or like when it's very if it's on the last level, or if you get it over like level 20 without evolving it from a Kakuna,
Mm.
it switches to flame body because it needs
Yeah,
to evolve and you keep preventing it.
yeah,
I think that would be a cool mechanic to like draw in this side of it.
yeah. I mean, I don't know about you, but I often, if I'm kind of incentivized by moves, I will on purposely not evolve a Pokemon so I get the moves earlier. So, like, now I'm thinking about it, I don't know why they've not incorporated that of like give you other reasons to not evolve a Pokemon.
Mm. I didn't realize. I think so. I was playing Let's Go, and a lot of the Meowths that you catch already have payday,
Mm.
even though they're very low level. But I didn't realize when I was younger that you don't get payday until after Meowth is old enough to evolve. You have to keep it back a little bit longer, even though it's Meowth's signature move.
Ah.
And I didn't learn that until I was playing, and I was like, why doesn't my Meowth have payday? It wants to evolve. So I kept it back, got payday, and then just like absolutely fucking cleaned up. Like I got so much money
Yeah,
using payday.
yeah,
Even though you don't need it, like you're already winning all the fights and getting all the money in the world.
yeah. That's one of the problems that I've had. So I'm a big fan of a cat. My cat's been on one of these podcast episodes, but I've never bothered with Meow because I've always felt like the payday thing. It's like beyond, I'd say, the first or second gym. Like I never really particularly worry about money.
Yeah. I think it's a cute um nod to like the lucky cat
Yeah,
thing, but that's about it. And I think I always wanted a Persian
yeah,
because Giovanni's was so elegant
mm,
and just badass.
mm,
Like real cool
yeah.
vibes.
Tell you what,
Giovanni and his Persian.
they really lost
Except,
that for a lowland Persian, didn't they?
oh yeah, it's dope. But like, I don't
Uh,
think I ever ended up with a Persian because like by the time I was playing, I was like, I don't really want normal type Pokemon on my team.
mm,
So like, and I know it can learn other moves, but like, I like taking advantage of stab. That's like my
yeah,
one bit of strategy I actually bother with. But back to Kakuna.
yeah,
Temporary stage will make in its body, and then it's back to it's almost completely unable to move on its own and almost incapable of moving. It's like, but no, we know it's got little pointy arms.
yeah,
Diamond and Pearl goes into more detail. It hides from predators under leaves and in nooks of branches.
yeah. I
I mean, I
like
could have
that.
guessed that probably. So Heart Gold, again, kind of like I feel like there are just people are looking at different Kakuna.
Yeah,
I feel like some of them just sit still and then like the badasses get put to the edge and they poke people.
yeah,
Or the ones that are in safe communities with lots of Beedrill to protect them don't really move. And the ones that have professors jabbing at them all the time retain some ability to
mm,
sting. Because Heart Gold is back to, although it's a cocoon, it can move a little. It can extend its poison barb if it's attacked.
yeah,
Then it's back to nooks and branches, almost incapable of moving again. Yeah, these are all very similar to what has been done before. I think Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee has probably landed in a comfortable middle ground, saying able to move only slightly. When endangered, it may stick out its stinger and poison its enemy,
yeah,
which I think makes sense. I think that's the sensible professor who has taken all of the data and figured out the actual reality,
yeah,
whereas all of the others have just taken a very small sample size and assumed that it's representative of every Kakuna in the world when it is in fact not.
yeah. And we know that that Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee is Professor Oak, so it's almost like he's gone. Right, if you're gonna do anything, you gotta do it yourself. Right, we're gonna study these Kakuna. None of us are gonna accuse them of being dead if they don't move. Right, pass me the pen. um, and then for me, the other one that jumps out at me is it hides from predators under leaves and in nooks of branches.
Yeah.
Like it makes me wonder what's. I mean, we already know the bird type Pokemon, but like that's very vague. Like what else
Well, I
is eating a
guess
Kakuna?
Ekans
Do they
might
eat them?
eat a Kakuna. I know they eat Pidgey,
Yeah,
and Pidgey eat Kakuna.
yeah. Circle of
So
life.
maybe Ekans also eats Kakuna.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I reckon Ekans also eat execute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I reckon I would eat Execute.
Yeah. Would you fried, scrambled?
It depends what I'm in the mood for, mate. I'll make a little exit omelette.
You could call it a cute exit omelette.
Omelette cute.
Yeah. Um,
I feel like Execute should have been in Paldea in the Spanish one because like Frittata's a whole they should have had like Execute evolve into a Frittata Pokemon
yeah.
rather than an Executor. I think that would be I mean maybe a bit morbid but cute.
Yeah. I'm going to say this now, and this is purely because I don't want another. My God, bees don't come out of cocoons, are you aware that eggs don't turn into coconuts? Oh,
Yes.
that's good. That's good. I didn't want. I
I
didn't want
mean,
this to be
again, it's
too
also
much in one
not something
episode.
I've necessarily. It's not something I've necessarily challenged. But like, I mean, execute could be like seeds.
I've always viewed them. My theory is that they are seeds. Right? They're called execute, but they're actually seeds.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they could be seed. Okay, I'm just gonna wait until we get to the execute episode because I was gonna go like look and just be like, how are they described? Because I feel like they do like they have seed bomb as a move,
Yeah.
definitely, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Um,
think they are referred to as a seed Pokemon as much as an egg
yes.
Pokemon.
It's like why not made them
I get, although in a
seed
way, an
acute?
egg is a kind of seed.
An egg. Yeah, I suppose it is. I suppose it is. Um, but oh God, you've made me. You've made me. You've made my mind break now. Because my thought. Cause, yeah, I suppose they are. Suppose they are.
Yeah,
Because like, what's a seed if not an egg that's put in the ground?
yeah.
Uh, oh,
I mean,
God.
yeah.
What I thought was going to be a little fun moment of, you do know that eggs don't turn into
Winding me
coconuts.
up,
Now I'm.
bullying me.
God, you might have to do the next section on your own whilst I recover.
All right.
Right,
Okay, I think that's us at the end of the Pokedex. Should we have a I feel like it's gonna come as no surprise what it's gonna say, but should we have a look at Kakuna's Smogon rating?
yeah, let's do it. Uh, Okie doke, we have got it there. Okay, so I'll tell you what is interesting. They must have thought about this. Its speed drops down in between evolutions.
Yeah, that makes sense because obviously it goes from being, I guess, faster than the one of the faster bug Pokemon, I assume, to not being able to move at all, and its defense goes up.
Yeah,
Um, and I feel like yeah, that makes sense. That's logical. Like I like how they've thought about the way the characterization affects the stats rather than just being like higher evolution, higher stats.
yeah, yeah. What I feel like if they'd put like a tiny bit of extra thought in, they, I feel like they should make that animation be moving a tiny bit less.
Yeah. I mean, if it's trying to balance on that point,
Yeah, I just feel like Stadium Professor, like if Stadium Professor saw this particular Kakuna and he was like, "That's probably dead." At that point, we know he's being a dick.
yeah, he's just a dumbass. This is the one that everyone was like, it can move a bit, it's got pointy arms, and Stadium Professor was like, I've never seen this in my life.
And then it's like, "Wapow!"
Yeah.
Poison sting in it. But yeah, like I mean, I'm looking at that right. I think it's got two things going for it, right? Which is first of all, it definitely looks cooler than Metapod. Just
It
like,
does. Yeah.
and it's like it's nice
It's
to be
got its
able
little
to,
like ninja mask eyes
yeah.
and its little Colin Robinson tie.
Yeah, like I mean, well, I mean, what else is he going to go to work in? And I personally think, and I thought this when I was like drawing the competition before. I think they probably should have kept these style eyes over for Beedrill, but I understand why they went with the red ones.
Yeah.
But I feel like these would have looked a tiny bit cooler.
They would look cool. They definitely would have looked cool.
Um, But yeah, and we can see there as well, it's in the not fully evolved category.
Yeah.
Um,
Which I feel like is an understatement.
what? But yeah, the thing is though, I could not imagine many people going, right, I bet I've got to get a Kakuna on my team. You know,
Yeah.
like if you want
Like
to.
if someone wants a Beedrill, they will tolerate a Kakuna to get it. But like, yeah, without my fun mechanic of adding a flame body to it,
Yeah,
if you leave it unevolved for so long, at which point I think the combination of some of the poison moves you can give a Kakuna, you'd have to TM your way uh to an actual decent move pool.
Mm.
Uh, but I reckon you could get uh, with my idea of like, instead of having just Harden, you get like the even stronger one that you could
Yeah,
make defensive. And then if you've got flame body and poison type moves, you could probably do something quite strategic with that.
yeah,
But as it is useless.
yeah. Do they ever do that where its abilities change across levels versus
I
evolution?
don't think they do. Um, I think um no, I don't think they do. I don't think I've ever seen that. I think you can go to like the guy and he can swap out your Pokemon's like ability for its hidden ability or something.
Mm.
But I don't think I've ever seen that a mechanic, but it could just be a mechanic I'm not paying enough attention to.
Well, there you go. I mean,
They should be listening to
yeah,
me.
the Pokemon
Give
Company.
me a job at Pokemon.
I agree. I very much agree. And imagine all the free stuff you'd get. Um, but yeah, I just even in the not fully evolved category, I just could not see because if I remember correctly, I think Ivysaur was also in the not fully evolved category. It's like why would you
Yeah,
have a Kakuna?
Ivysaur is stomping Kakuna.
Yeah,
Unless Kakuna has Flame Body.
there you go.
In
Get
which case it might last one extra move if Ivysaur starts with a physical attack.
yeah. So Satoshi Tajiri, get on it and get on it now. So, what rating you gonna give it?
I feel like I'm gonna give it a 3 because I feel like I had more to say about it than I anticipated.
Yeah,
Um, but also it makes no fucking sense. In a way that I only fully acknowledged today. Um, so I will give it like I'm never gonna have one on my team. I also don't have like amazing memories of it being in the show. It's
yeah,
a Kakuna. It's there. It's not as good as the way I would have done it based on the Pokedex entry
mm,
information that I have.
mm,
3, and now that I'm thinking about it, it's lucky it's not a 2.
yeah. I think I'm gonna join you with a 3, and I'm gonna echo what I said before. I think the problem is it's so massively overshadowed by Beedrill that
Yeah,
when you come across it in the games, it's like if you've evolved it, you're going to be holding on to it until it's a Beedrill. If you come across it in the wild, you're not going to capture it because all it's got is Harden, and it's going to be harder to evolve. But in addition, I think whenever it turns up in the anime, I mean, I agree. I feel like we've spoke about it much more than think we potentially could have. But I feel like that's happened like every time that I've been like, oh, this is going to be 5 minutes.
yeah,
But I think whenever it turns up in the anime, it's a precursor to Beedrill in that a Kakuna's turned up, so that means that Ash is about to get attacked by Beedrill soon.
yeah.